Are you a woman of faith who is struggling to navigate your current season of life? Do you feel like life is just happening to you instead of for you? My name is Jill Pack. I'm a certified life coach and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I want you to know that no matter your season or circumstance, it is possible to create a more joyful life. And I would love to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Seasons of Joy podcast. This is episode number 54, entitled The Talk I Wish I'd Given. So before I begin, I just wanted to invite you to my open coaching call tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Savings Time, which is March 21st. If you're curious about coaching and what it's like, this is a perfect way to get a glimpse of how it works. Just click on the link found in my show notes to join the community today. So again, this is entitled The Talk I Wish I Had Given. Now, I know that sounds like a silly title for a podcast episode, but I want to explain why I named it that. But before I get started on that, I just want to dedicate this episode to the women of the Mendon First Ward Relief Society. For a little bit of background, I just want to talk a little bit about a part of my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Now, in my church, we don't have a paid clergy. It's all volunteer. And we have different organizations within our church. There's an organization for children, for youth, for men, for women. And the women's organization is called the Relief Society. And it was organized in 1842, March 17th, 1842. And I believe that it is the oldest and largest women's organization in the world. Now, every local congregation, which is a geographical location, is called a ward, and each ward has its own relief society. And the women of that congregation meet together on certain Sundays to have spiritual lessons. But they also gather at other times during the year to have what are called Relief Society meetings. And these meetings are varied, and they're meant to strengthen the sisters and create connection with the sisters in that ward. The women may gather to learn a skill, to create or to craft or perform service for others. These meetings are an opportunity, like I said, to connect with the women in their local congregation as sisters in the gospel. And many times the women of the congregation will gather together to celebrate the organization of Relief Society. It's a birthday party in a sense. And in my experience, this party usually has a dinner. There are decorations and a theme and a program of some kind. And it's an opportunity, again, to connect and celebrate this beautiful, amazing organization, which is Relief Society. Well, as luck would have it, I was asked to speak at another ward's Relief Society birthday party this month. And I was so excited because I love to present and to speak to groups. And so I was asked a couple of months in advance with the theme based on the book by Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places You'll Go. And so I got the book. I began planning and preparing what I wanted to say. And that's why I have entitled this podcast episode, The Talk That I Wish I Had Given. So the day of the event had arrived and I felt pretty ready, right? When I walked in the room, I just couldn't believe it. I was so taken back. It was so cute. It was decorated with Dr. Seuss books and stuffed characters from his books and colorful balloons and yellow tablecloths. And it just was adorable. And it was obvious that the people in charge had worked so hard to put this all together. And this is one thing that I really love about my church. It's all volunteer. Right? People donate their time and their talents, not for any compensation, but for the benefits of others, the benefit of others. It really is inspiring. So at this event, this Relief Society birthday party, it came to be my turn to give my talk. And the only way that I can describe it is that I felt like it went over like a lead balloon. The first part went pretty well, but then I felt like it just took a nosedive. As I moved through my presentation, I felt more and more disconnected from the audience. And when I finished, I sat down and my heart sank. It was at that moment that I knew the message I had prepared was not what the audience wanted or needed to hear. I had been so focused on the message I wanted to give that I hadn't allowed the space in my preparation to really consider what the audience would need or want. Now, I know that this is all my perception. There may be someone that liked it, right? I'm not sure really what they were thinking. I haven't talked to anyone. I did have some people that were nice enough to come and tell me that they thought I did a good job, but I had a lot of other thoughts running through my head. And we all have that self-critic, right, within us. And mine was saying that they just were being kind. So I've had time to think about the message that I gave, along with the message that perhaps I wanted to give, but I didn't allow space for it. Now, I teach about how the thoughts we think create our emotions, which create the overall experience we have. And boy, did I have some thoughts that created some emotions and the experience that I had, right? I had thoughts like, Jill, you suck. No one liked that. You totally lost them. Why did you spend so much time talking about that? Why did you say this? No one is going to ask you to speak again. So that by the time I got home, with all of those thoughts rattling around in my head, I felt heartbroken and defeated and sad. I played the evening over and over in my head, and I hardly slept. Not very useful or helpful, but this is where I was at. Even though I teach this work, this thought work, I am a human being. And this is what happens to us sometimes, and that's okay. I know that I can't go back and change what happened. I can't go back in time and undo it. I also know that a poor talk doesn't say anything about the person I am. It doesn't determine my value or my worth. And the worst thing that happened from this is that I felt uncomfortable, that I felt bad and discouraged. But I also know that I will get over it. I'm mostly over it. I have had time to process my feelings. But I did want to redo. So that's what this podcast is. This episode is a redo. I have words on my heart that I wanted to share today. That's the beauty of having your own podcast. I can share the talk that I wish I had given. So thus the name. On the night that I came home from giving my talk, I couldn't sleep. So I got up, I grabbed my computer, and I began writing this podcast. I knew that there was a talk within me that I wish I had given. So again, I don't know that any of the women that I spoke to will even hear this podcast. It's pretty unlikely that many of them even follow me. Maybe, but unlikely. But there are words within my heart that I want to share with you today. So that's what I'm going to do. So here it goes. Many of us have been influenced by the work of Dr. Seuss. He has written numerous fun and creative children's books that teach powerful messages in a fun and simple way. One of those books is Oh, the Places You'll Go. This book was published in 1990, the year before he died at the age of 87. On the back sleeve of the book, it says, it is the perfect send-off for anyone embarking on the great balancing act that is life, unquote. It's a farewell book where he shares beautiful insights on living. So I want to share with you 13 lessons that I pulled out of this book. And he begins it this way. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. This is where I want to talk about lesson number 1. Celebrate. My belief is that this life is a gift, and we lived with our heavenly parents before we came to earth. They prepared this beautiful planet and this human experience for each of us, which gives us opportunities for learning, growing, and becoming. The only thing that you really have control over is today, this present this present moment right now. The past is over and the future isn't guaranteed. Today is a gift and there are wonderful things in store for you. So let's celebrate today. He goes on, you have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what you know, and you are the guy who'll decide where you go. Lesson number 2, you have everything you need. We each came to Earth with our brains and our physical bodies. These are incredible gifts that help each of us to experience mortality. You have everything you need within you to help you create your own way in this life. Your brains and your feet will take you where you want to go. He goes on, you'll look up and down streets, look them over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not so good street. Lesson number 3, agency. Along with your feet and your brains, you have the gift of agency, the power to choose. You get to choose what kind of life experience you will have. You don't always have control over your circumstances, but you have the power to react and to respond how you want. You have the power to discern and consider the direction you want to take. It really is up to you. He goes on, and you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there. It's in the wide open air. Lesson number 4, the power of perspective. Sometimes we're going to want to slow down, to get out in nature, or just get still in order to get to some perspective, to look to God for some greater, higher, heavenly perspective, to consider other possibilities, to soften our hearts towards ourselves and others. He goes on, out there things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew, just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go. Lesson number 5, worrying and stewing aren't necessary. Worrying and stewing can seem useful, but they aren't. They won't get you where you want to go. Worrying and stewing aren't actually even required to live life. Did you know that? They're not even necessary. Don't take life too seriously and maybe laugh a little bit more. Just keep going and have faith. Sometimes all we can do is take the next best step before we can see things change. He goes on, you'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers who soar to high heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have speed. You'll pass the whole gang and soon you'll take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be the best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest, except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I am sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. Lesson number 6, life is 50-50. We really aren't supposed to be happy all the time. Opposition was always part of the plan. The contrast of life is what makes it so beautiful. You won't know the beauty without the bitter. You can actually enjoy your journey once you understand this, because you aren't believing that you're doing life wrong when you struggle. The struggle and the opposition was always part of the plan. He goes on, you can get all hung up in a prickly perch and your gang will fly on. You'll be left in a lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then that you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. Lesson number 7, acceptance is powerful. When you try to change your past or other people, you will lose every time because those things are out of your control. When you fight and resist against what is, this just makes you miserable. Accepting reality doesn't mean you have to love it, but you don't have to fight against it. There is a difference. Understanding that this is how things are, that this is where you are, then you can ask yourself, now what? By loosening your grip on trying to change things out of your control, will actually help you live in the now, help you to move forward and unslump yourself. He goes on, you will come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lighted, but mostly are dark. A place you can sprain both your elbow and chin. Do you dare stay out? Do you dare stay in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite, or go around back and sneak in from behind? Simple it's not, I'm afraid you will find, for a mind maker upper to make up his mind. You can get so confused that you'll start to race down log-wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles across weirdish wild space, headed, I fear, toward a most useless place. Lesson number 8, your brain means well. Your brain is trying to keep you safe. The human brain is incredible and it is amazing at its job. It offers you all kinds of thoughts that it believes will help you. Its goal is to keep you safe. It's always looking to avoid danger or pain, for ways to be more efficient and seeking pleasure. Right? All of these functions are meant to keep you alive for your survival. However, in our modern world, we aren't facing the same kinds of dangers as our ancestors once were. Yet it's still doing its job so well that this can cause you to get confused and stuck in fear. Things that really aren't dangerous seem dangerous. But when you can understand your brain is just trying to help you, then you can remind it who is the boss and begin using your agency. My coach, Jody Moore, has said it this way: you should talk to yourself more than you listen to yourself. And he goes on, the waiting place, for people just waiting for a train to go, or a bus to come, or a plane to go, or the mail to come, or the rain to go, or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting around for a yes or a no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting for the fish to bite, or waiting for wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. No, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape all that waiting and staying. You'll find the bright places where boom bands are playing. Lesson number 9, make room for the positive. Learning to embrace the uncomfortable is where the fun begins and the growth happens. The worst thing that is going to happen to you is that you are going to feel an uncomfortable emotion. We don't love how negative emotions feel, but they will not hurt us. When you can allow them, they will move through you. Processing and allowing your emotions will move you through the experiences of life. Embracing the uncomfortable makes space for the beautiful. I know this seems counterintuitive, but resisting negative emotion just creates more negative emotion. By embracing the negative, you make room for the positive. He goes on, with banner flip-flapping, once more you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky, ready because you're that kind of guy. Oh, the places you'll go, there is fun to be done. There are points to be scored. There are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame, you'll be famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you win on TV, except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. Lesson number 10, find the lessons. Remember, life is 50-50. This is what makes life beautiful. We weren't meant to come and live a life of ease, one without pain. There is purpose in the pain. When we're in the middle of it, it's hard to see the beauty. But I invite you to look back at the challenges and the struggles you've had in the past. My guess is that you will find lessons in that reflection. And again, it doesn't mean we love all of it, but would you trade the lesson? What could you accomplish if you could get good at feeling and allowing all of it for the growth that comes with it? He goes on, I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too, games you can't win because you'll play against you. All alone, whether you like it or not, alone will be something you'll be quite a lot. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on. Lesson number 11, be your own BFF. There are going to be times when you feel alone. There are going to be times when you feel less than, times that you will compare yourself to others, times that you may wish things were different, and you're going to feel afraid. In those moments, you need to be your best friend. You need to remind yourself that you really aren't alone. You have heavenly parents who love you. You have a Savior who has felt what you feel. He has suffered so he can succor you in the painful moments of your life. You don't earn your value, your worth, or their love. You were born with all of it, which means you can't lose any of it. Be your own BFF and remind yourself of these truths. He goes on, but on you will go, though the weather be foul. On you will go, though your enemies prowl. On you will go, though the hawk and cocks howl. Up, onward, up many a frightening creek, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak. On and on you will hike, and I know you'll hike far and face up to your problems, whatever they are. Lesson number 12, you can do hard things. The struggles you face in this life don't define you, but they can refine you. It takes awareness, acceptance, and accountability. When you can be honest with yourself, understand that you are an imperfect human doing your very best, and that you were made for this, you will have the power to create wanted change in your life. No, it's not for the faint of heart, but you were made for this. He goes on, you'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mix up your right foot and your left. And you will succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains. So be your name Buxbaum or Bixby or Bray or Mordecai Alley Van Allen O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Lesson number 13. You're off to great places. You're off to great places because you are a child of God. That's why you're here. You aren't supposed to be just like anyone else. There is only one you in this world, so be the youest you can be. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. You aren't going to get it right every time, and that's okay, because life is messy. The world needs you, though. The world needs you and what you uniquely have to offer. Just keep going, taking one step at a time. You will succeed as long as you keep trying. Your mountain is waiting for you. So those are the 13 lessons from Dr. Seuss's book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. Take time to celebrate the gift of today, and remember that you have all you need within you. You have the ability to choose for yourself, which is one of the greatest gifts God has given you. Don't underestimate slowing down and getting some heavenly perspective. Worrying isn't necessary or useful, and it is definitely not required to live a wonderful, amazing life. Life is 50-50. It's meant to be messy. That is how the beauty of life is discovered. Don't argue with what is. Instead of asking, how come or why me? Instead, start asking, now what? What's possible? Your brain means well, and it's doing its job. The thoughts you think are normal, but it doesn't mean you have to believe them. Just remind your brain who is actually in charge. Embrace the uncomfortable to make space for the wonderful. Find the lessons and be your best friend. Take care of you. You can do hard things. You are made for this because you are a child of God. Be the youest you, and your mountain is waiting for you. Oh, the places you will go. If you want to explore any of these concepts on a deeper level, I invite you to schedule a free discovery call to see how I can help you in my 12-week one-on-one coaching program. The link for that can be found in my show notes or on my website. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you hear, I would love it if you would share it with your friends and family and leave me a rating and review. If you'd like to learn more about what life coaching is, please schedule a free discovery call with me where we can work together through something that's causing you a problem. Just go to my website, seasons-coaching.com, and you can also find information about my Seasons of Joy one-on-one coaching program and my Seasons of Joy community. Have a joyful week, and I'll see you next time.